The first sound was the crack of Arden's phone hitting the office floor. It wasn't an accident. Her hand had slipped because she couldn't stop shaking. She bent down to grab it, but her knees buckled, and she caught herself on the edge of Rylan Cove's glass desk just as he stepped out of his private room. His eyes locked onto her, sharp and unblinking, because he saw what no one else in this building ever dared to notice. Her scarf was crooked, and for a split second, the marks on her neck showed. He froze mid-step. That alone should have scared anyone else. Rylan never stopped moving. He never hesitated. But seeing those marks made him go still, like someone unplugged the entire world around him. Arden didn't even realize she was holding her breath until he stepped closer, slow and steady, like he was walking toward a wounded animal he didn't want to startle. "What happened to your neck?" His voice wasn't loud. Quiet made it worse. Arden pulled the scarf up fast, fingers trembling. Her gaze dropped to the floor as if the answer was hiding down there somewhere. "I'm fine. I'm sorry about the noise. I didn't mean—" He cut her off with silence. Heavy silence. The kind that filled the room thicker than smoke. The kind that made her eyes glass over, even if she tried blinking it back. The hallway outside buzzed with normal office chatter, phones ringing, printers humming. Yet somehow everything felt too far away, like the whole floor shifted, leaving just the two of them standing in a space that didn't belong to anyone else. Rylan didn't move for a moment. Then he leaned forward and spoke softer. "Look at me." Arden did. And that's when her whole body seemed to fold in on itself. Her mask dropped. The tiny flinch she tried to hide gave her away completely. This was the moment she usually swallowed her fear and pretended nothing was wrong. But today, her hands wouldn't stop shaking. Her voice wouldn't hold steady. Her scarf wouldn't stay straight. Before he could say anything else, her phone buzzed again in her hand, 3 sharp vibrations back to back. She jerked like she'd been shocked, nearly dropping it again. Rylan didn't look at the phone. He looked at her reaction. That told him more than the messages ever could. Her breath hitched. She whispered, "Please, can we just start the day?" But she couldn't even finish the sentence. Her stomach twisted, her eyes darting toward the office door like she expected someone to burst in at any moment. And then, right between her panic and Rylan's rising anger, the narrator addresses the viewers in the 5th paragraph as required. "Before we start, make sure to hit like and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel." Rylan stepped closer, lowering his voice even more. "Arden, who hurt you?" Her throat worked, but no words came out. The air shifted. She smelled his cologne mixing with the cold office breeze. The fluorescent lights above flickered once, almost on cue, as if the building knew something dangerous was happening. She whispered, "Please don't ask me that." He took the scarf gently, not touching her skin, just lifting the fabric enough to see the shape of fingers pressed into her neck. His jaw locked. His breathing changed. The room felt smaller, hotter. Someone down the hall laughed loudly at something, the sound cutting through the silence like it didn't belong in the same world as the fear sitting in Arden's chest. Rylan straightened slowly. "Whoever did this," he said, "made their last mistake." Arden looked up sharply. "Please don't." Too late. The lights hummed. Her phone buzzed again. Harder. Longer. She looked at the screen and her face drained of color. Rylan saw it. He stepped closer. "He's outside, isn't he?" Arden didn't answer. She didn't need to. Her phone lit up once more, and the message preview on the screen said, "I see you." Who do you think sent that message? And what would you do if someone texted you those words at work? Tell me in the comments. Arden stumbled backward so fast she hit the desk behind her. Rylan didn't look at her reaction. He looked at the message. His eyes narrowed, dark and focused, the way they got when something inside him switched from calm to calculated. He didn't reach for the phone. He didn't need proof. Her terror was the proof. Arden held the device like it was burning her fingers. Her breathing sounded uneven, shallow. "He said he was at work," she whispered. "He shouldn't be anywhere near here." Rylan stepped between her and the office door. A quiet move. Controlled. Intentional. He wasn't blocking her from leaving. He was blocking someone from getting in. Voices approached in the hallway. Arden stiffened. He caught the change instantly and motioned with 2 fingers. His security chief, Deshaun Burnett, materialized in the doorway without making a sound. Broad-shouldered, alert, already reading the situation. Rylan didn't raise his voice. "Sweep the floor. Find out who doesn't belong." Deshaun nodded once and vanished. Arden covered her neck again, but her hands shook too hard to tie the scarf right. Rylan watched her struggle for a moment before saying, "You need to tell me what happened." She stared at the carpet. "It's nothing. I just argued with—" "Try again." Her lips trembled. She swallowed. She tried once more. "We just disagreed." Rylan's voice softened, but his expression didn't. Disagreements don't leave handprints. That sentence hit her like a punch. She closed her eyes, and her shoulders lifted like she was trying not to cry. She wasn't a fragile person. Rylan knew that. She had survived things that would have broken most people. But something about this situation pushed her past her usual control. A muffled knock sounded on the office door. Rylan stepped aside, and Deshaun reappeared. "We found someone in the parking lot," he said. "Been sitting in a car with the engine running, windows tinted. No ID shown." Arden's whole body went rigid. Rylan didn't have to ask the next question. "Did he try to come in?" "No, but he was watching our entrance." Arden whispered, "It's him." Rylan nodded once. "Bring the car's plate number to me." Deshaun left. Arden looked like she might faint. "Please don't get involved," she whispered. "It's just a misunderstanding. I don't want anyone hurt." Rylan finally spoke the truth he was holding. "Someone already hurt you." Her chest rose sharply. Moments like this were dangerous for her, when she felt seen, too seen. Suddenly her phone buzzed again. She didn't want to look. Rylan took the phone from her hand, glanced at the screen, and his face hardened. Another message. "Step outside." Rylan's next words weren't a request. "You're not going anywhere, but he is." The elevator dinged before anyone touched it. Arden flinched hard enough to gasp. Rylan moved in front of her without hesitation, shielding her from the doorway. The doors slid open slowly, revealing only an empty elevator car. But that was enough to make Arden press her back against the wall. Rylan turned his head slightly. "Deshaun, lock down this entire floor." Deshaun's voice came through the earpiece immediately. "Already done." Arden's palms were sweating. She wiped them on her sleeves, but the shaking didn't stop. The air felt colder, the fluorescent lights too bright. Every sound felt louder than it should have. Shoes clicking, phones ringing, printers whirring. Rylan watched her closely. "When did he start showing up at your job?" She hesitated. That alone gave him his answer. He exhaled slowly. "So, this isn't the first time." Arden squeezed her eyes shut. "He said he wanted to walk me home sometimes. That was all. He said he didn't trust this neighborhood." Rylan stared at her. "And you believed him?" The question wasn't judgment. It was disbelief at how much she had tolerated. Arden opened her eyes again. "He wasn't always like this. He just changed when he thought someone else wanted my attention." Rylan's jaw tightened. She didn't notice, but he did it to keep his emotions quiet. He had learned long ago that reacting fast made situations worse. But inside, something sharp broke loose. A security guard rushed onto the floor. "Sir, the car in the lot just pulled off." "Fast." Arden stepped forward instinctively. "He's leaving?" Rylan shook his head. "He's running." Arden's throat tightened. "Why would he run?" Rylan didn't answer right away. He took her phone again, scrolled through the messages, then looked at her. "Because men like him don't want to be challenged. And now he knows I'm here." Arden reached for the phone, but Rylan didn't hand it back. Instead, he said, "You're done working for today." She blinked. "What? No, I can't just leave." "You're leaving," he said, "because I need to figure out how far this goes." Her heart pounded so hard she felt dizzy. "Please don't make this bigger than it is." Rylan stepped closer. "Arden, this is already bigger than you think." Her knees almost gave out, and she had to grip the desk behind her. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "He said he wanted to talk tonight. He said he had one last thing to tell me." Rylan's expression shifted like a door closing. Controlled. Cold. Focused. "What time?" 7. "That's when it happens then," he said. Arden's pulse thudded painfully. "When what happens?" He looked at the clock on the wall, then at her. "When I end this." And then her phone vibrated again, from an unknown number. "You can't hide her from me." By the time Arden stepped out of the building, the sun had dropped behind the tall city buildings. The air carried that cold, early evening bite that made traffic louder and lights brighter. She wrapped her coat tighter, not because of the cold, but because her chest felt too exposed. 2 black SUVs were parked at the curb. She froze. Rylan's voice came from behind her. "You're going home with an escort." Arden spun around. "No, I don't want—" "This isn't a choice." He nodded at Deshawn, who opened the back door of the first SUV. Arden stood still, feeling caught between embarrassment and fear. People passed by without looking twice. Businessmen, couples, a woman dragging a suitcase. But she felt like every single person could see her secrets. She finally climbed in. Inside, the air smelled like leather and faint cologne. The windows were tinted so dark the world outside felt distant. Deshawn sat in the passenger seat, scanning the street through the windshield. Rylan leaned down to the open door. "The moment you get inside your apartment, lock your door. Don't open it for anyone but my men." Arden whispered, "What if he shows up again?" Rylan held her gaze. "He won't get the chance." The way he said it didn't sound like a promise. It sounded like a deadline. The SUV pulled away, leaving Rylan standing on the sidewalk. Arden looked back through the tinted glass until he disappeared behind a bus. The city blurred into streaks of yellow and red, car horns echoing in waves. At her apartment building, the SUV parked across the street. 2 men got out and followed her to her door, keeping a respectful distance. She fumbled with her keys. Her hands wouldn't stay steady. She hated that. Inside, the apartment felt unfamiliar, too quiet, too dim, too small. She turned on the kitchen light. The bulb flickered for a second before settling. She dropped her bag on the counter and leaned against the sink, breathing hard. She wanted to scream. She wanted to hide. She wanted everything and nothing at the same time. Then, a knock. 3 slow, deliberate knocks. Arden froze. Her heart slammed into her ribs. She moved silently to the peephole. Her breath caught. No one was there. Another knock. Louder this time. She backed away from the door, shaking so hard her knees almost buckled. She grabbed her phone, ready to call Rylan, but the screen lit up on its own. A message. "You think he can protect you?" Another message followed instantly. "I'm closer than you think." Arden dropped the phone. The apartment lights flickered again. She looked toward the window and saw a shadow move past the building across the street. Her throat tightened. She whispered, "Oh God." Downstairs, engines roared to life. Rylan's men. Something was happening. She pressed herself against the wall, terrified to breathe. Outside her front door, a man's voice spoke low and steady. "Arden, open up. We need to talk." The voice wasn't Rylan's. Arden's breath hitched so hard she almost choked on it. The voice outside her door wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. It slithered through the wood like it belonged there, like it had been waiting the whole time. "Arden," the man repeated. "I'm not leaving." She backed deeper into the hallway, phone in hand, fingers shaking too much to type. Her lungs pulled in air too fast, too shallow. She forced herself to swallow, forced her thumb to press Rylan's contact. Before she could hit call, the knob rattled. She stifled a cry. Downstairs, heavy footsteps thundered up the staircase, Rylan's men reacting fast. Arden pressed her back against the wall, watching the front door like it might explode inward. A loud bang shook the doorframe. "Arden!" The man outside sounded angrier now. "You think hiding in there is going to fix anything?" She closed her eyes, whispering to no one, "Please stop. Please stop." Another bang. The wood cracked slightly near the hinge. Suddenly, 3 deeper voices filled the hallway outside. Confident. Controlled. "Step away from the door. You're trespassing. Move, and it's over." Arden covered her mouth with both hands as she listened. A shuffle. A grunt. Then, running footsteps. Someone fleeing. Her phone buzzed again. She looked down. A text from Rylan. "Do not move. I'm on my way." Her knees nearly gave out with relief. She slid down the wall, hugging her legs, trying to steady her breathing. The cracks around the hinge looked worse now. He had been seconds from getting in. Minutes later, heavy knocks. 3 firm, recognizable knocks. Rylan's voice. "Arden, it's me." She scrambled up and unlocked the door. Rylan stepped in with 2 men behind him. He scanned the room instantly, eyes sharp, taking in every detail. The dropped phone, the crooked scarf, the cracked doorframe, the way she couldn't stop trembling. He walked toward her. She didn't step back. "Did he touch the door?" he asked softly. She nodded. Rylan inhaled once through his nose. Slow. Controlled. Dangerous in its quietness. "Pack a bag." Her eyes widened. "What?" "No, I can't. This is my home." "Not anymore." She shook her head hard. "I don't want to run." "You're not running," he said. "You're relocating." Her chest tightened. "Where?" "With me." Her breath stopped. He continued, voice low. "He knew which floor you lived on." "That means he's been watching you longer than you think." Arden felt something cold spread through her stomach. I didn't know." Rylan stepped closer. "I don't want you blaming yourself for this. What he's doing isn't love. It's control." Her eyes burned, but she blinked the tears away. "What if he comes back?" "He won't," Rylan said. "Not after tonight." She swallowed. "What does that mean?" Before he could answer, Deshawn's radio crackled in the hallway. "Boss, his car was found 2 blocks away, empty. Driver's door open." Arden's heart flipped. Rylan looked at her slowly. "He's escalating." She whispered, "What if he's watching right now?" Rylan turned toward the dark window. His jaw tightened, his fists clenched at his sides. Then he spoke the words that shifted the entire story. "Arden. He didn't run. He's hunting." Cliffhanger. And right as he said it, her phone buzzed again on the floor. One new message. "Tell him he can't save you." The file slammed onto the table hard enough to make Arden jump. Papers scattered. Photos slid across the polished surface, and a single sheet floated to her feet. Rylan didn't apologize. He wasn't in an apologizing mood. He was pacing. Fast, sharp steps that made the room feel too small. Arden stared at him, confused and shaken. "What is this? What happened now?" He didn't answer. He grabbed one photo, then another, pushing them toward her with force he was barely controlling. Look. She bent down slowly, hands trembling as she lifted the top image. A woman, bruised, afraid. The next one showed another woman, younger, looking like she wasn't sure where she was. The next had dates written in the corner. Years, not months. Arden felt her stomach twist. Who are these women? Targets, Rylan said. Women he and his people watched. Women they studied. Women they approached. Women who didn't have anyone to stand up for them. Arden blinked rapidly, the pictures blurring at the edges. Why are you showing me this? Rylan finally stopped pacing. He pointed at the last page still on the table. Because your name is on that list. Arden stared at him. Her mind went blank. Then a cold shock rolled through her. She reached for the page with unsteady fingers. Her name wasn't just written, it was circled, highlighted, prioritized. Next to it were notes. Her workplace, her schedule, her pay, her routines. Her breath stuttered. Why would he do this to me? Why? Rylan cut her off softly. Because he wasn't with you for love, Arden. He chose you because he thought you were easy to control. She shook her head slowly. No. Stop. That can't be. It is. He wasn't angry at her. He was angry at everything that had touched her life before this moment. Arden's vision swam. She stepped back, almost tripping over the edge of the rug. Rylan moved forward fast and caught her elbow, just enough to steady without crowding her. I didn't know, she whispered. I swear I didn't know. I know, he said. This isn't your fault. She covered her mouth as a broken sound escaped her. Rylan exhaled, running a hand across his jaw. There's more, he said. Arden froze. Rylan pulled another document from the pile. These aren't just random women. They were chosen from specific places, quiet jobs, tight budgets, people who wouldn't fight back. Arden swallowed. Like me. Rylan nodded once. Exactly like you. The room felt colder. She rubbed her arms, trying to calm the shaking. So what happens now? Rylan stepped closer, lowering his voice. Now, we expose every name connected to this, and we take them apart piece by piece. Arden stared down at the papers again. All the faces, all the fear, all the stories that looked far too close to her own. Rylan, she whispered, is this bigger than him? Yes, he said without hesitation. Much bigger. Her chest tightened. Who else is involved? Rylan looked toward the window, eyes sharp. Someone higher than Quinn. Someone who wanted this operation kept alive. Arden felt a wave of nausea rise. And what do they want with women like us? Rylan didn't soften the truth. Control. She backed up until her shoulders hit the wall. Rylan walked toward her again, slower this time. I'm not letting anything happen to you. But you need to understand, you're not dealing with one man. You're dealing with a system built to make you disappear. Arden's voice cracked. Why me? Because you were never supposed to have someone fighting for you. She pressed both hands to her face. He spoke gently. Arden, I need you to stay strong. We're just getting started. Her phone buzzed again on the table, not a text, a video, from an unknown number. The preview froze on Quinn's face. Should Arden open the video or is it a trap? Tell your thoughts below and subscribe so you don't miss the next twists in this story. The video started before Arden realized she tapped it. The sound hit first, a heavy breath, shaky and close to the microphone. The screen showed Quinn sitting somewhere dim, shadows moving behind him. His eyes were wide, darting around like he was hearing footsteps that weren't supposed to be there. Arden, if you get this, they're coming for me, he whispered. They're coming for all of us. Arden's chest tightened. Rylan grabbed the phone from her hand instantly, playing the video again, slower, studying every frame. Quinn leaned closer to the camera. I tried to warn you. You think he's on your side, but you don't know who he really is. Rylan's jaw tightened. Quinn continued, voice shaking. You were just supposed to give information, not get attached. I didn't know they were watching you too. Arden stared at the screen in disbelief. What is he talking about? Who is they? Rylan didn't answer. He replayed the last 3 seconds. In the background, someone's silhouette passed behind Quinn. Not clear enough to identify, but tall, broad, moving with purpose. A familiar dread pulled at Rylan's stomach. Quinn kept talking. Arden, listen to me. If he hasn't told you everything yet, he will, when he needs something from you. They all do. You were right to want space. You were right to be scared. A loud crash cut through the video. Quinn jumped. Someone grabbed him from behind. The camera fell sideways, showing a floor, boots, and then the video ended. Arden covered her mouth. Is he dead? Rylan's expression didn't shift. Not yet. She stared at him. How do you know? Because that video wasn't meant for you. It was meant to pull you out of hiding. Arden stepped back. Why would anyone want that? Rylan looked straight at her. Because they want access to you. And Quinn failed to deliver. Arden's voice trembled. So they're punishing him? And trying to bait you? Arden felt the room tilt. What do they want from me? I'm nobody. Rylan shook his head. You're not nobody. You're a tie to me, and that makes you valuable. Arden felt her breath catching again. I trusted him. Even when things got bad, I thought maybe he would change. Rylan lowered his voice. He never saw you as a person. He saw you as a key. Arden's eyes filled. She stepped to the table, staring at the photos and documents again. Those women? Did they survive? Rylan hesitated. That alone told her the answer wasn't good. She turned away, gripping the edge of the desk until her knuckles turned white. I can't believe I let him get close enough to do this. To put me in danger. To put other women in danger. Rylan stepped closer, speaking gently but firmly. Arden, you didn't put anyone in danger. They did. You walked into a trap you didn't know existed, and now we're getting you out. Alive. Her shoulders shook once, a quiet breakdown she didn't want him to see. He stayed behind her, giving her space but not distance. She whispered, What do we do next? Rylan looked at the phone again. We find the place where that video was filmed. Arden turned to him. You know where it is? Not yet, he said, but I have a good idea who does. The lights dimmed for a moment. A power flicker. Arden stepped closer to Rylan without meaning to. He glanced at the door. Someone just entered the building. Arden's heart dropped. Who? My answer depends on how fast they reach this floor. A loud crash echoed from downstairs. Arden jumped. Rylan checked his watch. They're early. Before Rylan could react, someone pounded on the door. 3 violent hits that shook the frame. A voice yelled, Open up! We know she's in there. Who do you think just found them? Comment your theories and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. The door rattled again, harder this time. Rylan signaled Deshawn silently, and the big man took position beside the wall, ready to strike if anyone forced their way in. Arden's breath came fast. She pressed herself against the back corner of the room. Stay behind me, Rylan said, voice low. The pounding stopped suddenly. A second of eerie quiet followed. Then, a single knock. Soft. Calm. Wrong. Rylan's eyes narrowed. A voice slipped through the door, slow and steady. Mr. Cove, we need to talk. Arden recognized it instantly. Her chest caved in. No, that's Elijah. Rylan stiffened. Elijah who? My supervisor. From my old job. Deshawn gave Rylan a tense glance. He shouldn't know this address. Rylan nodded. Which means he wasn't just a supervisor? Another soft knock. Arden. Open the door. I only want to help. Arden's blood ran cold. Why is he here? Rylan stepped toward the door, voice flat. Because he's part of the list. Arden shook her head violently. No. Elijah was always kind. He helped me when I needed extra shifts. He was patient. He was watching, Rylan said. Not helping. A deep voice outside spoke again. Arden, if you don't open this door, someone else will. And they won't be gentle. Her knees nearly gave out. Rylan motioned to Deshawn. Take her to the back hall, now. Arden barely had time to move before Deshawn guided her quickly toward the rear exit. The building lights flickered again, and she grabbed the wall to steady herself. Keep going, Deshawn said. Another crash thundered from the front door. The wood splintered. Rylan barked an order her ears barely processed. Deshawn pushed open the stairwell door and led her down one floor. The stairwell smelled like concrete and metal, echoing every footstep like a warning. Arden whispered, Why is he doing this? Why is Elijah part of this? Deshawn didn't answer. He couldn't. The truth was too heavy, too sharp for this moment. They reached a hallway lit by flickering bulbs. Arden slowed. Where do we go now? Before Deshawn could speak, footsteps echoed behind them. Arden froze. Deshawn stepped in front of her. Stay behind me. The footsteps grew louder, fast, determined. Rylan's voice suddenly rose through the stairwell above them. Arden, keep moving. She turned. A figure was already at the bottom of the stairs. Elijah. He wasn't smiling now. His calm expression was gone. His eyes were cold, his jaw set, his hands balled at his sides. Arden, he said, you weren't supposed to run. Deshawn blocked him. Don't take another step. Elijah looked past him, straight at her. You were chosen for a reason. Don't ruin it. Her heart slammed into her ribs. Chosen for what? Elijah took one slow step. For him. Rylan's voice roared from above. Arden, down! Something heavy crashed behind Elijah, and the lights went out. CTA. Who is Elijah really working for? Share your theories. And hit subscribe so you don't miss the final chapters. Darkness swallowed the hallway as the lights went out completely. Arden grabbed the wall, heart racing. Deshawn pulled her close, shielding her as footsteps scrambled in the dark. A loud thud hit the floor. Someone groaned. A flashlight snapped on. Rylan's. Its beam cut through the darkness, landing on Elijah's body sprawled across the hall. He wasn't dead, but he wasn't getting up soon either. Rylan moved fast, grabbing Arden's arm gently. We're leaving. Now. He led her toward the service elevator. Deshawn followed behind, keeping his flashlight trained on Elijah until the door closed. Inside the elevator, Arden tried to breathe, but her voice broke. He knew where I lived. He knew where I worked. He knew everything. Rylan stood close to her, steady and focused. Because he was assigned to you. Arden's stomach twisted. Assigned by who? The elevator doors slid open into a parking garage. Engines hummed in the distance. Shadows stretched across the floor from the overhead lights. Rylan didn't slow down. Someone with money. Someone with power. Someone who thinks people like you are objects to move around. Arden's voice cracked. Why me? Rylan stepped in front of her, forcing her to look at him. Because they wanted control over someone close to me. Arden blinked. Close to you? But I'm just your assistant. He shook his head once. Not to them. They watch who I protect. They saw how I look at you. And they wanted leverage. Arden's breath caught. She couldn't answer. At the far end of the garage, a black van screeched around the corner. Deshawn shouted, Down! Rylan pulled Arden behind a concrete pillar as the van swerved sharply, headlights blinding. The door slid open mid-turn. Someone leaned out, masked, reaching for her. Deshawn fired a warning shot into the air. The van peeled back, tires screeching, smoke curling from the ground. It disappeared up the ramp. Arden pressed both hands to her chest, shaking. They tried to take me. They won't get another shot, Rylan said. We move now. He led her toward a black SUV waiting with its back door open. Arden climbed in quickly and Rylan slid in beside her as Deshawn took the front seat. The SUV sped off, engines roaring through the underground garage. Arden leaned back, trying to keep herself from breaking. She whispered, "Whoever is doing this, they're not stopping." Rylan nodded slowly. They won't. Not until I stop them. Arden turned her head toward him. How? You don't even know who's behind it. Rylan's eyes narrowed slightly. I do now. Arden froze. Who? Rylan looked straight ahead, voice low. Someone in Quinn's family wasn't just supporting him, they were running him. The SUV took a sharp turn. Arden's pulse pounded. Who is it? He answered without hesitation. His older brother. Deshawn glanced at the rear mirror. Boss? We're being followed. What do you think Quinn's brother wants with Arden? Drop your thoughts and subscribe so you never miss stories like this. The SUV accelerated hard as two dark cars appeared behind them, headlights flashing like warnings. Deshawn swerved onto a side street, tires screeching. Hold on! He shouted. Arden gripped the seat. Rylan steadied her with one arm, keeping her pressed into the corner as the SUV weaved through traffic. The cars behind them didn't slow. Deshawn muttered, They're trained. They know how to follow without losing distance. Rylan's tone shifted. Quentin Mercer. Arden tensed. Who? Quinn's older brother, Rylan said. He's the one who circled your name. He's the one who planned everything. Arden felt her chest squeeze, like all the oxygen had been pulled from the SUV. Why me? What did he want? Rylan didn't sugarcoat it. Control over me, and pain for you. The SUV turned sharply again. One chasing car clipped the corner of a curb but recovered fast. Arden whispered, I don't understand any of this. Rylan looked at her. You were never meant to survive that relationship. She covered her face, tears slipping through her fingers. I didn't know what he was capable of. You weren't supposed to, Rylan said. Quentin studies women before choosing them. Fear makes them easier to handle. The SUV burst onto a highway ramp, speeding up. The cars behind them followed. Deshawn checked the side mirror. One's gaining. Rylan leaned forward. Drive to the safe house. Arden's voice cracked. What if they get to us before we get there? Rylan turned to her, serious and steady. They won't. You're with me. But she saw the tension in his jaw, the calculation in his eyes. Even he knew this wasn't guaranteed. Traffic thinned as they reached the outskirts of the city. The chasing cars stayed close, but not close enough to ram them. Arden whispered, Rylan, what happens if they catch us? He didn't answer at first. When he did, his voice was low. I won't let them lay a hand on you. The SUV cut onto a narrow road lined with tall trees. Shadows moved with the headlights, stretching like long arms across the pavement. Suddenly, the first chasing car surged forward. Deshawn cursed. They're trying to force us off the road. He swerved, barely missing a guardrail. Arden slid across the seat. Rylan grabbed her before she hit the door. The second car accelerated on the other side, boxing them in. Arden gasped. They're surrounding us! Not yet, Rylan said. Deshawn floored the gas. The engine roared. The SUV shot forward just enough to break the box. The chasing cars tried to follow, but a tight curve forced them to slow. For a moment, just a moment, they gained distance. Arden exhaled shakily. Are we safe? Rylan shook his head. Not until Quentin is out of the picture. She swallowed. What does that mean? He answered without hesitation. It means this isn't ending tonight. And when it ends, it won't be quiet. Deshawn turned down one last narrow road. A tall metal gate opened ahead of them. Arden whispered, "Where are we?" Rylan finally let out a breath. Home. The SUV pulled inside. The gate shut behind them with a heavy slam. Arden looked out at the massive house rising in front of them. Dark windows, tall walls, guards posted everywhere. A fortress. Rylan turned to her. "You're safe here." Her phone buzzed in her lap. She looked down. A new message. "You made it inside. Cute. But walls don't save people." Arden's voice vanished. Rylan took the phone from her hand. His expression went ice cold. He whispered, "He knows where you are." What do you think Quentin's next move will be? Drop your thoughts below. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next powerful story on this channel. Your comments inspire others. Share your voice.